Okay, now like all 10 of y'all can leave because that's what you came for. Okay, let's talk. Zack Telander made a video. Alex Bromley made a video. Jonnie Candito's old video was referenced. So what are powerlifters doing? Um, they're trying to maximize the amount of weight that they're moving within the rules of the competition. It's that simple. That's what they're doing. That's what athletes do. That's what happens in sports. Um, Athletes try to find the best and most efficient way to accomplish whatever the objective is in their sport. So let me start off by saying the video that's going around that seems to be the catalyst for this conversation, it makes me laugh because it's not a legal lift in powerlifting anyway. The dude's using straps. And he's doing sumo, so it's not legal in strongman either. So this is not a legal competition lift in either powerlifting or strongman. I don't think CrossFit does sumo deadlifts either. So we're talking about like a non-competitive lift being the catalyst for powerlifting needs to change, which is again, it's comical to me that's the catalyst, that's what we're drawing from, but that's how the internet works. So I give this old analogy all the time. I've been using this analogy since like fucking 2016, when it was prevalent amongst the bench arch crew. And now we're starting to see it with sumo more, and I'll touch on that in just a second. But you take basketball, an objective sport, to score the most points, okay? Yao Ming were to dunk the ball with a 2-inch vertical jump. LeBron James were to dunk the ball from damn near the free throw line. And John Stockton, sorry, stereotyping white guys, knocks down an 18-foot jump shot. Okay, those are all worth the same 2 points. They took different skill sets, different levels of athleticism, different levels of coordination, different ranges of motion. They are all worth 2 points. Most points wins. That's all. It doesn't matter if those points come from jump shots. It doesn't matter if they come from dunks. It doesn't matter if they come from layups, if they come from free throws, whatever the case may be. Most points wins. Point blank, period. To expand on that, there's this argument going around, well, powerlifting was never intended for there to be this big archer. There was never intended for there to be these really wide stance sumo deadlifts. Basketball was never intended to have dunks. It was never intended to have a three-pointer. It was never intended to have free throws. In fact, I would have to go back and look this up, and I probably should have before I made this video, but somebody can correct me. I don't think dribbling was ever intended. I think when it was initially started, like you couldn't move with the ball. You had to pass the ball, and you could only move exclusively without the ball. And I don't think it was 5-on-5 either. I think the teams were bigger. Sports evolve. Things evolve, sports evolve, equipment evolves. I'll get to that too. But almost no sports that you're watching now look like what they looked like at their onset. American football, there was never any forward passes at its onset. Who's the most important person on the team now? The person that passes the fucking ball. This is not what they intended for football to look like. No, it's not. It's a fuck ton lot better. It's making a lot of money. So yeah, sports evolve, things evolve, equipment evolves. Equipment, let's go to the equipment. This is the big thing for me. I think more people are upset about the deadlift bars than they are with a sumo deadlift. Just saying that they hate sumo is kind of hating the bar in disguise. I said this before Pete's video. I said it in the comment section on, I think, Alec on Kiri's Hot Take Q&A. We never really heard it much before when everybody was using stiff bars. Granted, the social media wasn't what it is now, so that may be some of it, but you really didn't hear a whole lot of complaining about sumo until we started seeing these whippy bars, and now with the kabuki bar being even whippier and even wider, the point at which the plates come off the floor is, the bar is way higher now. I don't fault the athletes for adjusting their technique to take advantage of this. Again, this is what athletes in any sports do. Height is revered in basketball for a reason. There's reasons certain football players at certain positions, there's a stereotypical body type. This, this happens. Shit evolves. Baseball players used to use like 44-ounce bats. Now they're using like 32 and 33-ounce bats. Just is what it is. Hell, the first person to ever like intentionally throw a curveball probably blew batters' minds. But equipment changes and the athletes change with it. I'm not the biggest fan of the kabuki bar. I'll admit that. But I'm not going to get upset about athletes taking advantage of it because that is the equipment provided to them. So it only makes sense to maximize, the leverages and techniques used in conjunction with that bar, because that's what you do if you're an athlete. You maximize these things with what's in front of you. So I'm not upset about it. I don't know if people want it to look an old way. That is what it is. Powerlifting been growing. There's a lot more big money meets now than there used to be. I know way back in the day it was on TV. There's TV wasn't as watered down as it is now. There wasn't all these options, and maybe that's a bad argument. But we didn't have as many things to be interested in back then as we do now. So again, you look at it, there's more big money meets. The streams are more populated. More lifters are making money on social media, not just prize money. USAPL has a whole pro series now. I think powerlifting is going in the right direction. We're seeing a few outlier videos, again, like the hyper bench arches, and those are outliers. However, they are getting a lot of traction, and credit where it's due to the people making the argument. It's making powerlifting look bad. Maybe because normal people don't understand it. I don't think powerlifting needs to be this super big in the Olympics television primetime sport. I think the current growth trends we're seeing with it is fine. Last but not least, the Candito video. He mentioned limiting grip width as a solution. Now, it seems very viable on paper. However, in my opinion, there are two glaring problems with that. The first one is it doesn't scale down to the local level. 99% of your lifters are local level lifters. That's the vast majority of who is paying membership fees, etc. And the whole weight classes are height classes in disguise. While it's pretty uniform at the top, when you get down to the local level, there's some merit to it, but it's not quite as uniform. There's a lot of length lords, at local level competitions in the lighter weight classes. And this is going to force them into maybe some awkward positions or benching in a manner that's just not conducive for them to make the most gains and put the most weight up that they can safely. So I don't think this really translates down to the bottom level. That aside, because nobody gives a fuck about local level lifters, we only see what's at the top on social media and the highlights. This is probably going to be the big reason for me, and I think will resonate with the most people. At these meets, everybody is competing against everybody for best overall lifter. Especially in these big money meets now, you're seeing, it's based on formula. It's not based on the biggest total. It's not based on winning your weight class. There are weight class prizes, but the big prize is biggest formula. If everybody is competing against each other for the biggest formula, everybody has to have the same rules. You can't say this class can only grip this far and this class can grip this far out. You can't go doing that because now you've got different rules for different classes, and then you're going to compare them all against each other when they had different rules. And that's completely unfair to anybody competing against anybody else. You have to have uniformity across the rule set for everybody if everybody is in competition with each other. So my final thoughts: sports evolve, powerlifting's evolving. None of the sports you're seeing today look like they did in their onset. I'm sure there's some obscure sport somebody will tell me about. and you can't go separating rules for weight classes when everybody's competing against each other, for best overall lifter.